Welcome to Couples 412 Online. I'm Kevin Impeccable Peck. This is my wife, Dana Peck. How you doing, baby?
Hey.
Couples hanging out, connecting with other couples all over the world. We have some couples joining in that's going to be sharing a lot. I don't know if you've ever seen us, if you've ever tuned in, and even if you ever care. Maybe somebody just sent you a text message, you saw it on Facebook, and you're like, what in the world is Couples 412? Man, that was like a tricky little thing we wanted to put. What is Couples 412? Well, actually, it's just couples. Come on, we just connecting with other couples. You know, this is a digital connect right here. We just connected with other couples all over the country. We're making marriage sexy again. We're making, what God has put in our lives. We're pushing it forward in the face. It's like you just can't give us all this negative stuff and say marriage ain't nothing. We saying marriage is something. Marriage is everything. Marriage is. See this? Look, we're not even TV people. My wife's giving me this. She's like, look up here.
Look at the camera.
I like to look at the camera. Okay, I'm going to try to look at the camera. See, we're not professional TV therapists or anything, but we do play one on the internet. We got joining with us the Mosleys from Baltimore, who we're going to tune into. Sheila and Rodney, how you guys doing?
Fine. How you doing?
Good, good.
And we have Ed and Renee Jones in Atlanta.
Hey y'all.
Hey, hey. Did y'all have some technical difficulty, or did you just smoothly get on?
We were on early, and we didn't want y'all to catch us unaware, so we got off, and then we came on right at 9 o'clock.
What were y'all doing earlier?
Let's just say we was on early.
It's all right. You're married. Anyway, we also have Pastor Stephen Thurston, who is going to share a little bit. We had some other guests that got caught up, but you got to just deal with who's here. But the Parkers, they are our partners in crime, Q and Charlinda. They are on the Fantastic Voyage with Tom Joyner right now. So they have no internet on the boat. If you ever been on the boat, don't buy those internet cards. It's not worth it. Wait till you get on shore and go to the internet cafe. If not, enjoy the moment away. Sometimes you need to get away from all this technology and things. Man, what a week. What a month. We've been talking about finances at Couples 412 all month long, and it's caused us to really take an in-depth look at ourselves and what we're doing, at our financial situation. Do we have a budget? Are we tithing properly? Are we doing it the way that God says doing it? And are we prospering in what we're doing? Those are kind of questions that we ask ourselves, and we really had to check. We had to check. You ever see all of those GoFundMes that are popping up all over the internet now where people are just passing away, but they have nothing in place for a situation when a loved one passes away? It's like we're living paycheck to paycheck. What are we doing out here? Are we making wise moves? Are we just spending crazy and then hoping that it's going to be there, or hoping a GoFundMe can work?
Right, or are we in sync? Are we viewing money in the same way, or at least appreciating how each other is viewing the money? And that's been an important lesson to learn as a newly.
Are y'all getting tight on money yet? I usually have a shirt, a nice little cufflinks. I'm gonna loosen up. Tonight is just do it night. This is just like, let's just get our money together tonight. Right, let's get it as a couple. Let's get it as a whole, because we have to provide an inheritance for our children's children. Don't be so selfish. How many pair of shoes? Really, what are you gonna do for your children's children? What kind of inheritance are we leaving?
What's our legacy?
What's the game plan?
Yeah, didn't we figure that out already?
We're working on it. I called some people today just talking about it, and I realized that I was kind of upset that a lot of people, and I don't even know why I was upset. I've been in the music business all my life, and I'm upset because, one, I don't have my will together yet, and we've been married 10, 11 months. And a lot of people who don't have even their will together or even have thought about getting the will together, and all that is coming into being a good steward. Yeah. So we're going to tackle all that tonight, but it's been something heavy on a lot of people's heart, and that's been, and it might be because it's kind of like when Whitney died, when Michael died, when Prince died, just recently. It's just like it kind of took over the whole atmosphere for some reason, and you go back to playing records you grew up with. Maybe it's just me. Maybe it's just
no,
me.
Everybody's feeling that, especially.
Anybody else feeling that out there? Or is it
yeah, definitely.
Am I just talking to myself? Okay. Because, as people of color, we really don't like to go to therapy. I like to say that because I created something called song therapy, so you can kind of get something through, through song. So tonight, it's hard to find, we talking about finance, we talk about romance, we talking about how to make it work, but it's hard to find an exact Prince song that fits that kind of thing. You know what I mean? Because when you think of all of the songs, it's not really talking about it. But we kind of stumbled. We went through the catalog on the radio. It's been, satellites taking over. And so we said we need to get a little therapy. Maybe get a little bit of this off our chest in the beginning so we can move smoothly through the finance part of it. So y'all remember a song called Pop Life?
Pop Life?
Oh, Pop Life? Yeah, I remember that.
Life. All right, let me play a little bit just in case you forgot. Just in case you need to remember. Rest in peace.
Robert Nelson.
Can y'all hear that? Oh. Where my Prince fans at? Everybody like trying to like you got Prince fans.
What's the matter with your world? All you want is girl.
Man, rest in peace, Prince. Y'all remember Pop Life. If you've never seen Couples 412 or seen me do song therapy, it's how I get my therapy on. Sometimes, you sing a song all your life and you don't know the words, or you never really think about with the words. You might even sing it wrong your whole life. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to break down. I'm not going to do the whole song because we don't have all night. But I'm just going to break down the first verse and the hook. And wait a minute, let me share my screen.
I was going to say, this is a good choice because this is at a time right before Purple Rain was completed, the movie was completed, and it expresses Prince's discontent with dealing with fame. So it's a good selection for tonight because it talks about the trappings of fame. So let's hear what you got to say about it.
Can y'all see my screen?
Mm-hmm.
Got it.
All right. Pop Life. If you don't know, Prince pretty much wrote, produced, played mostly all of his records. So what's the matter with your life? He's basically asking, he's saying, take a look at what's going on in your life right now. He says, is the poverty bringing you down? I mean, you can just go back and see the cities, the inner cities and things. I mean, some people, we come from the city, but we may have moved out. Some people may still be in the city. If you're not, you're seeing images of the city all over the news. Is that bringing you down? Is the mailman jerking you around? Now, I've tried to figure out what he was meaning right here. I mean, is he talking about, are you getting a bunch of bills? Are you, I haven't really dug into it, but maybe you can put some thought to it if you never thought about it. I never even knew that it said it's the mailman jerking you around. And then he said, oh, maybe it answers it on the next line. It said, did he put your $1 million check in somebody else's box? And then that was back, you guys remember Publisher Sweepstakes?
That's right.
Everybody thought $1 million could possibly show up. Collected all this information from you, and you got a bunch of subscriptions to some magazines maybe that you didn't want, or you did want. Next line says, tell me what's the matter with your world. Was it a boy when you wanted a girl? Not was it healthy? Were you happy that God gave you a gift, gave you a blessing? Just wanted to know, was it a boy when you wanted a girl? Come on, stop it. Don't you know straight hair ain't got no curl? I mean, but they tried that Jerry curl stuff Back in the day, everybody had to get a curl. Nothing with the ladies. Ladies, we like how y'all mix it up. Straight some days, curly some days. But you know, it's the good hair versus the bad hair thing. Whatever that means. Whoever created that to cause the infighting amongst us. Next it says, life ain't real funky unless it's got that pop. Dig it. Huh. I think we need to hear some more music. Let's just hear the hook one more time and let's go forward. Life ain't real funky unless it's got that pop. Well, the hook goes on to say, it's very short, very simple. Pop life. Everybody needs a thrill. Pop life. We all got a space to fill. Pop life. Everybody can't be on top. But life ain't real funky unless it's got that pop. So, at the end of the day, you know, the world tries to put all these things in your head, make you search, keep up with the Joneses, or you're not good enough if you're not doing it this way, if you're not. Everybody can't be on top according to the world, but in God's way, when you choose to bring Him into the situation, we know that you're on top. So that was a little bit of song therapy. Rest in peace. The artist formerly known as Prince, who just got all of his masters back. That's crazy, right? He fought so hard. As soon as he gets everything back, so everything that an artist will want, you would think as a musician to control all of your things. If y'all don't really know what masters are the master recording that all of the copies are made out of, or of the slaves. So usually the masters are controlled by the record labels. So they quote unquote the masters, and the artists typically become the slaves. Anyway, I'm getting on the music high horse. I'm getting my Prince emotionality out. But anyway, if you just tuned in, this is Couples 412. This is where we connect with couples all over. You wondering maybe, what's Couples 412? Why that name? Well, we didn't want to be in your face, but we're really in your face. You know what I mean? It's like Ecclesiastes 4:12. You might know what that means? Strand of 3 is not easily broken. So if you're married and you just going along and something pulls you this way, something pulls you that way. But if you put God right here, that strand of 3, right here, you're not going nowhere because He's got you. He's got you, and He's got you. He's got both of you. He's got the relationship. He's got the finances. He's got the communications. He's got everything that we need to be progressive, positive, powerful couples right here, and that's what Couples 412 is all about. Man, welcome, Rodney.
Yeah.
I'm gonna jump ahead of the game. I'm ready to talk with somebody. I don't want to hear myself talk all night. How you guys doing?
Good.
Good. From Baltimore, my hometown. Saw what we were doing online and said, how can we be a part? They celebrated 20 years. Actually, on the last one we did, but they weren't able to make it. They were planning to come on then, but they're on now. So we're glad to have him. Rodney was born and raised. He's a graduate of Baltimore School of Arts. I didn't even know that, Rod. I didn't even read your bio beforehand. My wife just put it in my face right now. In 1984. Sheila was born and raised in New York. Okay, you got yourself a New York girl. Okay. And graduated from Notre Dame in Maryland. Rodney met Sheila in 1993 while he was visiting her sister. Okay.
Well,
I was visiting my sister.
she was visiting.
I was waiting for it to be corrected. I'm sorry. In fact, how did y'all meet? I'm out of the bio and everything. Tell me how y'all met. I want to hear this love story.
Okay. Well, I guess it started with me. Me and my sister and my mom just moved from New York after my father passed away. But we knew me and my sister had an older sister that grew up in Baltimore. So I went to her house to visit, and there he was. And he wasn't leaving me alone ever since.
There he was. Okay.
You know what?
Say that one more time. What was he doing?
He just happened to be there.
Okay, he was happy
And
to
he
be
wasn't
there.
leaving me alone ever since.
You know, that's the typical story. You know, they say that you never leave them alone. We always chase them. But,
Me and my sister were going to the movies and he followed us.
I have to admit, when I met her, I was in a real bad space, being young and dumb, I too was in the music industry, and just getting back into it. But, the time she came along, my grandmother and grandfather was, I guess, just entering their stages of exiting, and uh, he changed a lot of me. I became this new person, so if you want to say I chased her, then yes, I chased her, and I'm still chasing her today.
All right.
But we managed to stay together. You got family members and with their opinions of who you are and where you've been, and and their thoughts of, oh, they're not going to survive. So 20 years later, through the thick and thin, I'm glad she's stuck by my
20 years later. That is awesome. Awesome. Well, we're glad we just hanging out. We just hanging out tonight, having a good time, connecting, hearing stories, being inspired by your love story, by your perseverance. 20 years is no easy feat to be married to the same person. Said y'all met 23 years ago, and you've been chasing it ever since.
That's right.
You should have heard the conversation before y'all got on everybody. Before we went on live, they were getting. I was like, hey, you won't be getting chased tonight too. When it's over.
All right. You might see me on the news.
We're also welcoming Renee and Ed Jones, friends of mine. Our children went to preschool together. I'm so happy that you guys could join us.
Having
Yeah, great. Ed is from Atlanta.
All right.
We don't meet people from Atlanta. Morehouse grad. Kevin went to Morehouse too.
I went to Morehouse, but I majored in Spelman, Clark. Morris Brown was around at that time. Georgia Tech at Georgia State. They had to send my butt back to Baltimore. So you ain't studying nothing. You're overwhelmed down here from Baltimore. You're Baltimore. They said your name like Kevin, and I was done.
Okay, we're talking about the Jones.
Okay, I'm sorry. All right. Yeah, we're having a connection.
Keep it up. You might even see him because he is a wrongful death and malpractice attorney.
That's right. I will never need to see him.
And Renee, yes, that's right. Renee is from New Jersey. I like that. You're calling yourself a peachy Yankee.
I'm a peachy Yankee. Yeah, I've been down here a long time, but I'm still a Yankee at heart.
Yeah, that's great.
So you wear a Yankees hat, not a Braves hat, huh?
No, she don't.
And I like this too. Okay, they have 2 children right now, but she said 3 children almost. So she is due like any week now, is that right?
Yeah, I'm full term now. I'm due in about 9 days.
Whoa.
Wow.
If anybody's counting. Wow, so thank you for spending some of your last free moments. I was able to.
Outnumbered.
Your what? That?
Our last moments before we're outnumbered.
That's right. That's right. Last week I had the pleasure of being at one of her sessions. She had a session for about teens, but she, in her private practice, she's a mediator and conflict coach. So I think that I would guess that finances come up pretty frequently when you are counseling couples.
Absolutely. It's definitely one of the top 3 issues that couples face, that couples have conflict about in their marriages, whether they're trying to stay together or dissolving a relationship.
How they appreciate that.
Big issue.
Wow. Well, we'll come back to that, but we're just so happy that you're able to join us. this evening.
Well, we're excited to be here
Good.
and hear everybody's love story. We're really inspired by.
Well, we want to hear your love story. Let's hear your love story before we get off of this.
You want to tell it?
Yeah.
It's always fun to hear Renee tell it because I get a different version every time she tells it.
I'm just going to tell the short version is that I was an undergraduate student at Georgia State, and Ed was in law school at Georgia State, and I was student body president, and he was involved with the Black law students, and they would come in, as all student organizations do, come to SGA begging for money, and he was assigned to be the chief beggar in charge for an event they were having. So he had to come to my office quite frequently. And, you know, they had the event. It was successful. He came by to thank me. And then he came by again a week later. And I was like, oh, are you coming to see me? And he's like, yeah. So he came in my office and he made small talk for about 45 minutes.
Wow. Real small.
Before he finally said, we should go out sometime. And I kind of looked at him and said, oh, okay, yeah, we should do that.
And a year after our first date, we got married.
Yeah, 1 year later to the day, we got married.
Cool.
Nice.
And we've been married for how many years, babe?
14 years.
We've been married for 13 years.
So we had our first date in 2002. We got married the same day in 2003, so 13 years.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Okay. We see you. Well, welcome to Couples 412. If you just tuned in the middle of all of these great love stories, this is Couples 412 live. We do it once in Atlanta at a location that you have to stay tuned for because it's moving around right now. But typically it's at the Oasis family, and this past month it was with the Enan family. But we're up in the air about next month. We should know something by the end of the week. But if you're in the Atlanta area,
On May 10th, it's a Tuesday evening at 6:30.
at May 10th at 6:30. And if you're in the Atlanta area this Sunday from 3 to 7, we're going to be in a place called Smyrna. I'm from Baltimore, so all your people from Atlanta know what Smyrna is. And we're going to put some things that have 4 wheels on. And we're going to attempt to have the couples family skate. So if you can skate, if you think you can skate, if you like to watch people skate around and you know what happens when you get on skates, come on. Have some good music, bring the kids. It's a kid-friendly environment. They got these little walkers. It was a great invention. I wish they had it when I started skating. Right. Like an old lady's walking and skate. I'm like, man, that's how you teach them. Because if not, you have to go in the middle with your kid and hold them while they falling and you falling, and you always end up falling trying to teach somebody how to skate. But anyway, if you haven't been skating in a while, we went on spring break. We hadn't been skating in about 20 years. And, you know, it comes back. You know, you're not even crossing over around the curve. You just kind of going like, you just gliding around the curve till you get it. And the rental skates never work. When you were younger, well, I had my own skates. But, you know, when you're younger, you have your own skates. And, you know, you want the precision wheels. You can do some tricks, go backwards. But anyway, the rentals, you got to be real careful. You're going to get hurt. The Parkers, Q Parker, he's the last time we went skating, he got hurt. Q Parker is from 112. We miss you guys. Q and Charlene, they're on a fantastic voyage. If you're used to tuning in with us, they're not here this month. But Q was playing basketball. He's just coming over Achilles injury. We said, brother, you sang. Will you stop skating, playing basketball? Just get back to singing so that your group can have you doing all of the steps. But anyway, man, we got off into feeling warm and fuzzy, but you should feel warm and fuzzy about having a conversation with your spouse about finances. Now, if this is your first time tuning in, if you hear these 3 letters, P, D, A, and you don't know what they mean it's a public display of affection. And this is the public because we're broadcasting, so this is how you do it. And you can make it wet. So everybody out there, you might not have kissed your wife all day. You might have, but hey, give her another kiss. She's worth it. She's your gift She's your gift from God. So love her like Christ loved the church. Boy, this is my third marriage. I used to say, man, Christ must have really loved the church. Boy, that's the job you charging us with. But I'm just joking. This is my third and final time. We didn't talk much about ourselves with the modern day Brady's. I have 3, and she had 3, and we bought them. We now have 6, 3 boys, 3 girls. We call ourselves the Bladies, the Black Brady Bunch. So, we don't look like them, but we got 6. 6. 8 is enough, but 6 is enough over here.
Right.
All the TV shows coming along, but we have a song. We're not gonna sing the Brady song tonight. There's no time for that song. We'll sing it another time. You maybe have to look back at go to couples412live.com on YouTube. You might catch us singing it, or come see us in Atlanta. But basically, this finance has challenged us a little bit to really look. And so the thing that's different from when we were in school and college is the internet. The internet is so full of information. And you ever have people just ask you dumb questions? And they call you and ask you dumb questions too that they could have just put in Google. It's like, really? You just call me and ask me something that you can, and maybe you don't know it, but you can Google it. For anybody, I'm not going to call it a dumb question because in school,
There are no dumb
there
questions.
are no dumb questions, right? There's ignorant and there's stupid, okay? Here's ignorant. Ignorant, you just don't know. You're lacking the knowledge. Here's stupid, is you don't care about finding out the knowledge. So if you fit into those categories, please get out of them. Because you could be ignorant and stupid about your finances right now, and that could be a problem, and that could be why you're in the situation you're in with your money. Actually, I found out through my studies that God or Jesus talked about money more than he talked about prayer.
That was something. I mean, when you told me that.
And it's really hard to believe. And then, if you're going to believe in God, you got to believe the whole word. You can't
Pick and choose.
Throughout life, we like to pick and choose. So if you believe the part about what X, then you should believe the part about Y. And God has a certain process, and without getting into it too deep, you should try tithing. If you've never tried tithing in your life, try it. Just try it. This is like the only time in the Bible, if you go to Malachi 3, and God, and everybody's like, they feel a certain kind of way about money, about I'm giving my man that money, I'm giving that pastor my money, I'm giving that church my money. It's really not your money. It's really God blessed us with everything, right? And then he just has some things set up for how we can be blessed. Now the question is, do you believe the way those things are set up, or are you just going to keep doing it on your own? I had a friend, actually he was in the choir boys in Baltimore. I know you might have heard of him or have. He used to say, try God for 30 days. If you don't work, you can give him back. You've been trying your way so long to get it right, and it's not right because it's too many GoFundMes. There's too many people with no wills. There's too many people paycheck to paycheck. There's too many people, if they missed a month of work, they would be behind on their mortgage. That's just prevalent by the foreclosures, the markets, the things that are breaking down. It's just we're handling money our way instead of God's way. So in 91, I heard about tithing. I had a great teacher that taught me about tithing, and he said this is the only place in the Bible where God says, try me and prove me and see when I'll pour you out a blessing that you can't handle. Like it's just too much. It's overwhelming. It just blows you on your back only because you tried and proved. I don't have it right in front of me, but if you get to Malachi 3, just read the whole chapter. Sometimes they read just that little tithing part, but if you wonder, if you go into even that next scripture, and we talked last time, has anybody started reading out there with their wife? Even if it's just reading the Bible once a day, even if you go into the Bible app and you guys got a reading plan, or if you say, you know what, honey, we're going to read Proverbs this month. If you take time, start your day out with God and your wife, and cover your marriage. Just find a scripture y'all love and just dig into it and go through it. Okay? This is my helpmate. See, the helpmate just pulls up the Bible for you and just says, this is creating a breakthrough, breaking the covenant with holding tithes. See, the Lord basically says, that you have robbed him if you have decided not to tithe. And people say, like, what do you mean I've robbed God? It's like I robbed him in my tithes and offerings. And if you read it, questioner in 3:8 says, will a mere mortal rob God? Yet you rob me. But you ask, how are you robbing me? And then he goes on and clarifies it, and he says in tithes and offerings. So when you do that, it says you are under a curse. And so are your finances under a curse? You gotta check. You gotta check. You gotta check the temperature. You know, you gotta check your trust temperature and what he can do. He says, bring the whole tithe into the storehouse, that it may be food in my house. Not that he needs anything, because God owns everything. He's just saying, this is the way that I've set up for you to be blessed. Can you follow it? This is not a hard thing. How to get out of financial trouble. How to get on the right track to getting your finances in order. I was going to say about something else, but God just pushed me to this tithe thing. He just keeps pushing me to it. And for anybody who's in ear distance and listens, I'm going to tell them, you cannot beat that challenge. When he says try it, he's going to deliver. 100. I've been tithing since 91. It's been sometimes when I have more bills than money. I don't even want to balance nothing. I don't want to look at nothing, but they all just somehow got paid. I once had a check of $5,000 come from 10 years ago that they were been looking for me from a settlement that they had overpaid. I was like, you know, like all of that. I fell down. I'm not even the hallelujah fall out, pour oil on kind of guy, but I fell out that day. But anyway.
But you know, this conversation really about finances, because we've seen a financial planner and we've been reviewing our budget. You know, as newlyweds, it's something really important. Really, you should talk about it before you get married so you understand your money language. But we talked about it after we got married, and what's been really enlightening is I got to know Kevin even more because of tithing. Now I can understand more about his views on money and spending, because he relies so heavily on his faith in God that his decisions about money, he doesn't fret about them. And so that has really relieved me too, because I'm always like, oh, okay, the balance, you know, the bank account says this or that or that. And because of his freedom in the money, he's taught me that there's freedom in relying on God, basically. And it's just been a really exciting time, and I really encourage you to have that discussion. It could be a little difficult, you know, we have to show each other, you know, be transparent about our finances. That was about debt, about our views for the future. And it's an important discussion to have.
Children's children. We're working on leaving an inheritance for our children's children. If your mom gets sick, your dad gets sick, if they're still with you, who's going to take care of them? Do you have a plan? Do you have a plan in your house? Do you have a plan for a nurse? Are you going to be able to afford nursing home? The baby boomers are getting old. They don't even have enough funeral homes, they say, to hold all of the funerals that's going to happen. They don't have enough senior assisted homes that's going to happen. So what you going to do?
Right.
You ain't going to leave mom out there.
Right.
Like,
we're living that now because my dad lives with us.
89 years old. 89 years old. So it's real, people. Finances are real. I don't care how you close your eyes and wake up, pretend, and wash your face with some soap and think it's going to go away. It's got to be a plan. It's people who've done it. But the very first foundational part that I believe is that you got to start with tithing. And that's just trust. It's just a trust thing. It's like, can I give you $10 and you give me one back? Can you do it? It's just $1. Not after you've done everything. It's when you've done that first. Like, where's God in your priority? And if you really want to know that, check your checkbook. Then you'll find out. Stephen Thurston, Pastor Stephen Thurston, man. We look forward to you every time you teach, every time you share. And this is kind of like a part 2. And he's kind of been, Stephen is not married currently. Ladies, don't say that. Anyway. So when the Parkers are here and the Pecks are here, you know, Stephen he can just give us this. You know, sometimes you don't want to feel that, but he can give it to you because he don't have to go home and hear nothing from you. He don't have to be sensitive. He don't have to be compassionate. You know, but the truth is the truth, and how you deal with it, and how you view it, and how you battle through it is great. And we're always glad to have you sharing with us, Stephen. So I'll turn it over to you, brother.
Good deal. Glad to be with Couples for 12, as usual, and glad to have our guests that are with us tonight, and those who are tuning in for the first time. Really appreciate you taking time out of your schedule to connect with us tonight. If you were not at our last live session, we had a ball, we had a blast, and those notes are listed there on the website. So I want you to get those notes so you can connect tonight with our session 2 weeks ago. Within that session, I gave a challenge, a pretty difficult challenge that was there as it relates to kind of getting their financial house in order. It called for the first 40 days for you to begin to track your money. Every expenditure, every 7 days, you want to total everything up, and then you want to begin to see the categories where your money is being spent. For many of us, it doesn't become real until we see it on paper, see it in black and white. And so after that 40 days of tracking, you really know where your money's going, you're alert, you're aware, your head is no longer buried in the sand. And then the following 30 days after that initial 40, you spend nothing, no money, no extra, except for on necessities. I see you looking at me like that. Don't do that. Don't treat me that way. I'm serious. This will help you. Spend no money except for the bare necessities. And that means you're going to begin to cut some stuff out of your life. All them cable channels, all 800 of them that you only watch 20 of them, you're going to cut back. Your data plans, you're going to cut back. Everything that you can cut out and eliminate, you'll do that. And then after that 30 days of just going strictly bare necessities, the following 30 days, you're still in that bare necessity perspective, but you can add in just a few little extras here and there. This helps us to discover that we can really live more life on less money because we begin to cut out the fluff, cut out the extra, and see where we're spending money that we really should be either saving or investing to, again, do what Kevin has suggested, leave an inheritance for our children and our children's children. Because the reality is a lot of the things that we buy, that we consume, we really don't need. That money could be better spent in other places. And so that challenge for those who weren't there 2 weeks ago, that challenge is now presented to you tonight. You can start first thing in the morning. That means all your money is tracked. No extras, no hidden stuff. Everything goes there. Even if you don't, for some people, cash is king, and that's what you do. Other people use debit cards or credit cards. Every expenditure, even out of your little extra, some of you women keep something tucked down in here. Wherever you keep that little extra, you got to track everything so that you can have a totally clear perspective on your finances. And so as we move from our session last time to our time of sharing tonight, I want to challenge us to consider counsel. That's the focus that I want to share with us on tonight, to consider counsel. And here it is, when we're honest about things, most often than not, pride prevents us from seeking financial advice. The reality of the matter, especially within the African American context, is that money was never really a topic of discussion. Nobody really taught you. It wasn't a part of the conversation growing up. You've been trying to figure it out on your own since you've been an adult. You were just kind of thrown into the mix, and you've done your best to make it and to maneuver through life. But there was no tutelage, no training. Nobody gave you a blueprint or a map that kind of guide you from a financial perspective. And so many of us are really financially illiterate or financially ignorant. We just don't know. We really don't know. So we gather together in community as such. The first thing that we're going to do is act like everything's cool. Act like everything's well. Act like it's always a positive. Your credit score is 850. Act like you ain't never missed a bill. Act like people ain't calling you trying to get their money. You want to put this picturesque presentation together, and it's not real. And that's simply pride. It's preventing you from seeking the financial advice that you desperately need to put yourself and your posterity in a better position. We get to the place where we don't want to be embarrassed by somebody seeing that we really do have problems and financial problems. We get embarrassed because somebody might look behind the curtain and see us for who we really are and where we really are in life. The facade that we've propped up is going to come down, and we're embarrassed about that. We don't want people to see where we really are because we look the part, we act the part, we talk the part, but when you look into our checkbooks and our financial lives, we're not meeting the mark at all, and we really don't want people to know. We don't also want to come out of denial about where we are. Some of us know we jacked up. We know that we messed up, and sometimes it's not our fault. Life just happens, situations happen, things happen in life and put us behind the 8 ball. But for some others of us, it's because, if we're honest, we made some dumb decisions as it relates to our money. And so we want to stay in denial. We're hoping that that Powerball ticket that you're sitting on tonight is going to hit, or that Mega Millions ticket is going to hit, or God is just going to miraculously bless you and drop some money out of the sky. Listen, it's not going to happen. You got to get your house in order. You got to get things straight. And God won't give you more if he can't trust you to handle what you currently have. And so for many of us, we don't need more money. We just need better management of that which he's already blessed us with. But still, we're in denial about where we are, and we don't want to reach that place where we address the state of our financial affairs. Because if we have to face it, then we're put in a position where we have to fix it. And you don't want somebody telling you what you need to do differently. You don't want people to call you out on your stuff. But the reality is, all of us need that. We need somebody that can hold us accountable. And so we need to seek and to consider counsel as it relates to our financial affairs. Understand something about the Christian life. It's been described as not one of independence from each other, but of dependence upon each other. If we look at Ecclesiastes 4:9, from the Message Bible perspective, it says this: it's better to have a partner than to go it alone. We're built to be our brothers and our sisters' keepers. The world culture, it says that we ought to act as individuals, but Christianity says that we ought to be a part of community. And there's strength in numbers, there's strength in community. There's something that happens when we come together, as we do with Couples 412. We link arms one with the other. We let down our guards. We put away the facades. We put away the ego, the arrogance, the pride, all that extra stuff. And we allow people into our lives, understanding that we've all got each other's best interests at heart. And we all want to see each other win. And so it's better to have a partner than to go it alone, because the end result is going to be all the more better. We want to have this partnership. We want to be in this community of people that can help us and encourage us and shed light on areas that we're ignorant towards, because in order to operate in the optimum way, we all need other people to help us. We're all a part of the body, especially if we call ourselves Christians. We're part of the body of Christ. And just like the human body has various parts that do various things that allow the human body to function at its optimum level, every part has a role to play. And so there's some things that you do that I don't do. There's some things that I bring to the table that you don't bring to the table. But when we bring it all together in community, at the end of the day, the body functions in the best way possible. And that's the place and the point that we've got to get to, even with our finances, coming together so that we can function in the optimum way. And we can only do that by gathering together with other people that can help us. We got to do that because God has given each of us certain abilities and gifts. But God has not given any one person all of the skills that he or she needs to be most productive. And so again, we got to come together, because you got some stuff I don't have. Kevin has some stuff that somebody else, that Charlinda doesn't have. All of us have some different abilities, some gifts, some talent that can help us grow collectively. Listen, when we come together, this should challenge us to admit our weaknesses and our weak points. This should move us to a place of honesty. It should cause us to admit that in spite of all you know, or all that you can do, or all that you can bring to the table, when it comes to finances, the literacy level is deficient. That's what this is going to do when we all come together, connect, break down those walls. It calls us to be honest about those places where we really don't have it all together. Let me throw out some more Bible that kind of help reinforce this piece about us considering counsel and coming together. When you look at the book of Proverbs, that book focuses on wisdom. Proverbs chapter 19, verse number 20 says, to listen to advice and accept instruction, and in the end you'll be wise. Proverbs chapter 12, verse number 15 says, the way of a fool is right in his own eyes, but a wise man is he who listens to counsel. And so the biblical text supports this point and this focus on us coming together, seeking counsel, locking arms, linking arms with our brothers and our sisters, especially those that know something that we don't know. I've always tried to surround myself with people who are doing what I want to do in places where I want to be. And I have no qualms about walking up to somebody and seeing something about their life that I admire and say, hey, I don't know you and you don't know me, but we're going to get to know each other together real soon. I want to know what you know. I want to see what you're doing and how you're doing it. And listen, it may sound shocking or amazing, but I've had these people open up to me, a perfect stranger, and begin to share their life, their story, and their experiences, helping me to further along what it is that I'm seeking to do, driving me towards my destiny. And so we understand, number one, that we've got to consider the fact that we need counsel, that we don't know it all. We got to connect with some people that know a little bit more than we do. So then the question is raised in our mind, how do I choose counsel? Who should I connect with? Who should I go to? Who should I trust with letting my guard down and letting them know that I'm weak in these particular areas without my business being all over social media? Well, Proverbs, again, speaks to this particular point concerning choosing counsel. Let's look first at Proverbs 22. It says, plans fail for lack of counsel, but with many advisors, they succeed. And then we look at Proverbs chapter 11, verse number 14. And that text says, where there is no guidance, the people fall, but in the abundance of counselors, there's victory. So the text demonstrates for us that it's good to have a group of people, a cluster of people, a tribe of people that can surround us and come and lock arms with us and do life with us so that we move towards a place of victory in our lives. Listen, each of us has a limited range of knowledge and experience. Thus, we need others bringing their own unique backgrounds to give us insight and alternatives that we never would have considered without their advice. I connected with the gentleman that we had at our last session, the Live Couples for 12 session, Mick, just the other day. Had an amazing conversation with him. And in that conversation, as a financial planner, he was able to share with me some various options that I can engage in to help the money that I do have now grow exponentially. He opened my eyes to some things I'd never heard about, never read, and I read 3 to 4 books a month, especially in the area of finance and other areas such as leadership. And some of the things that he said and shared with me totally blew my mind. If I had not connected to somebody who ground that far expanded beyond mine and who could present some alternatives to me, I never would have been engaged in these particular elements and platforms that could gain me additional wealth and additional security as it relates to my financial future. I had another gentleman that connected with us, Corey, telling me about some various life insurance policies and how they've been tweaked over the past few months according to some of the laws that would gain me some additional income. And so just a simple switch in how I have my life insurance policy structured is going to grow me exponentially. And so listen, we've got to connect with other people that know a little bit more than we do because we all have our limited ranges. Well, Stephen, who specifically should I go after in terms of choosing my counsel? Let me suggest 4 particular areas or 4 types of people. Number 1 would be your partner. If you're married, your spouse is to be your primary source of human counsel. Why do you say that? Because when you two stood at the altar and exchanged those vows, at that point, 2 became 1. And so the decisions that you make are now directly impacting both of you. And so you've got to have that connection with her so that you all are on the same accord, because it's going to directly impact you. What one does, what the other does, is going to impact you. So what does this mean? You got to stop hiding stuff from each other. You got to open up about those secret accounts. You got to stop hiding bags. You know, you went shopping, got home before he did, and he hid that stuff so he wouldn't see it. Then you want to slide it out and ease it into your daily experience, hoping that he doesn't notice. You can't do that no more. You got to be honest with each other so that you can have that real authentic conversation and communication and be on the same page as it relates to your finances. And so if you're married, number 1, your spouse ought to be your primary source of human counsel, especially as it relates to the finances. Secondly, a husband and a wife need each other to achieve the proper balance for a correct perspective on decision making. If you've been with us for a while, you remember that we did a session at the very beginning on spaghettis and waffles, and how men are like waffles and women are like spaghetti. And so that helps us to understand that we think differently. We view things differently. And so we need each other to balance the situation out, because men are going to think one way, women are going to think another way. And men, let's be honest, the ladies often have like this sixth sense, especially as it relates to spending money and what we need to do, decisions we should make, what we shouldn't do, when to say no, when to say yes. We want to be male. We want to beat our chest. I'm the head of the house. I got this thing. I don't need your input. And at the end of the day, if you're honest, don't they end up making more sense when we look back? Hindsight is 20/20. We thought we knew what we were doing. They knew better. We should have listened to them. And it's oftentimes difficult for us to admit that. But we need both parties there to provide both perspectives so that we make the best decision. And husbands, let me remind you that your wife does not stand behind you, but rather beside you to help you. And if you're in the position where she's better with finances than you are, I know you're the man in the house. I know God holds you at a higher standard. He holds you accountable for the tone and the texture and everything that takes place in your house. But even with that leadership responsibility, if you're not gifted in the area of finances, there's nothing wrong, there's nothing belittling about handing off responsibility to your wife if she's better in that area. If that's her strong suit, let her handle it. Let her balance the checkbook. Let her manage the accountability of the household. That takes nothing from you as a man. But you got to come together as a couple, have the decision, have the conversation, which leads to the decision about who can better handle certain things in the relationship. Let me finally say this to the married couples. Seeking the counsel of your spouse will additionally preserve the relationship. How does it preserve the relationship? Because when a decision is made, especially from a financial position, made it together. If it's a win, we won together. If it's a loss, we lost together. You avoid the situation where you get cut off from certain things and certain activities. Y'all can read between the lines there, because you made a difficult decision. It went the opposite way of the way you expected it to go, and now you're in the doghouse. Now, y'all need to make those decisions together. And again, listen, many times the Lord communicates most clearly to a husband through his wife. I'll back that thing up, give it to you one more time. Many times the Lord communicates most clearly to the husband through his wife. I've got a good friend of mine, and he's the man of his house. He runs the show. And a few years back when the new BMW, the 7 Series, when they changed the body style initially and it came out, he'd gone to the dealership one day just on a whim and saw the car there, but said, no, my wife probably is not going to let me go for that. So let me just get a pre-owned car. He got the pre-owned car, took the BMW to the house, pulled up. His wife happened to be standing in the garage as he lifted the door. And so she walked up to the car and said to him, what is this? He jumps back and says, what do you mean, what is this? What does it look like? She said, I know you ain't just go out and buy a car without talking to me. And so his chest gets big and he responds back, woman, you don't tell me what to do. I'm the man of this house. I make the money. I make sure you're comfortable. I'm going to do what I want to do. She said, well, if you're going to come back here tonight and sleep in the same bed with me, you're going to drive right back up to that dealership, take that car back, and get the car that you left there accidentally and bring that one back to the house. He puts the car in reverse, goes back to the dealership, fuming about the conversation. En route, I know about this because he calls me going off about how she ain't got no business telling him what to do. He the man of the house. He makes all the money. He provides a nice lifestyle for her. She needs to just shut up and be a submissive wife. He goes into all of that. And so what he decides to do after getting off the situation, you know, I've got certificates in mediation, negotiation. I tried to use all my skills, but none of it worked. I found out a few hours later, he goes back to the dealership and trying to be nice. Remember now, he'd gotten a pre-owned car. He now decides to get the brand new version of the 7 Series straight off the floor, only had 3 miles on it, pays full price, doesn't even try to negotiate nothing, and he pulls back up to the house and walks in and throws the keys at her and tells her, you ain't gonna ever tell me how to spend my money. Well, let me fast forward the story. He had that car for 3 years, and out of those 3 years, that car was back in the service department 70 to 80 times. If he had only listened to his wife, God was trying to talk to him through her to get him from making a major financial decision that would disrupt some of their dreams and some of their goals. But machismo stepped in. Macho stepped in. And he could not allow his wife to lead him in that regard. And he suffered the consequences. What am I trying to say? Husbands, sometimes it's best that we simply listen to the wife. Let God lead her as she seeks to lead us in certain regards. So number 1, we need to look to our partner as it relates to counsel. Number 2, look to our parents. Proverbs 6:20-22, speak to heeding advice from our parents. And what I've discovered, even in my relationship with my parents, is that asking their advice is a way to honor them and build a bridge across any wall. Even if I think I already know the answer to the question, just going back and raising that question with them, getting that advice, makes them feel good. They still want to be a part of your life, feel that they got some influence, feel that they're still needed. And so raising those questions could be a benefit to that relationship. And here's the reality of the matter. They've got some years on us. They've got some experiences. Plus, they know us in a very intimate way. And so they have our best interest at heart. And because they know us, combined with their years of experiences, the mistakes that they've made, they're able to guide us and lead us in ways that will benefit our future. And then finally, let me say this about engaging parents, because there can be friction points. Everybody's relationship with their in-laws sometimes turn to a situation where they really feel like outlaws. It's not the best of relationships, and that can cause friction points in a marital situation. Understand that their advice is good. However, it should be subordinate to the advice of a spouse. Why? Because when you got married, two became one. We're challenged and charged to lead and to cleave to our spouse. Remember that you're one flesh, and if there's conflict that's created by seeking advice, the two of you are now partners doing this thing called life together, and you two are going to suffer the direct consequence of the decision that you make. And so parents can be good in terms of sources or resources for advice, but their advice should never supersede the counsel that you receive from your mate. You two are one, and you've got to work as a team. And so we've got parents as the second option. Number three, we've got the provider. We've got our partner, we've got parents, then we've got the provider. Psalms 32:8 says, I'll instruct you and teach you in the way you should go. That's God speaking. And so he's the ultimate provider. As Kevin said a few minutes ago, it's not our money, it's God's money. He just simply allows us to be a steward over it. It doesn't belong to us. How do I know? Because you can't take it with you when you leave from this place. It's simply God's money that he's allowing us to steward over. And when it comes to making difficult decisions or hard decisions or any financial decisions, let me challenge you, as Kevin has challenged you to tithe and to give and make that a foundational part of your financial life. I second that motion. But also, as it relates to all of your financial decisions, you take them before the Lord. Why? Because you're spending his money. And so counsel from the Lord is gained through a two-way exchange called prayer. Many of us engage in prayer, but we miss the mark because we talk at God rather than talking to God. We give him this wish list of things that we want, things that we think we need, or things that we desire. And we don't leave room for God to kind of talk back to us. And so we got to talk, but we got to leave room for him to respond. We've got to listen to what he says, and I promise you, he'll give us the direction that we need. And then finally, we've got professionals. When we receive financial advice, you want to ask yourself this. When you engage with a financial planner or anybody in that profession, ask yourself two questions. What stake does the person have in the outcome of my decision? Question number one. And question number two, will the advisor profit based on the guidance that they're providing? Are they just selling you a suite of products, or have they taken into consideration your financial position currently and your future goals and objectives? And so as I leave you tonight, let me encourage you to seek some counsel, get some help, especially if this is not a strong area. You don't have a background in economics or banking or finance. You're just doing it on your own. Connect with the group, connect with the community, connect with some professionals. Talk to your partner, talk to your parents. And listen, the road to financial wealth is paved one brick at a time. That's my time, Couples for 12. Thank you for your time tonight.
Thank you, Stephen. As always, I have used this archaic item called a pen instead of my trusty note. I couldn't speak to Siri like, sometimes you like to talk it out and everything. Times have changed. Actually, even on your finances. Before you had to wait for a statement in the mail in the month. Now you can just get up-to-minute spending. You can know, you can track. Man, it has been like just a great month just to absorb all of the finance and the stewardship and to just get into the seed and the harvest, which we didn't even really talk about, because if you know about a farmer and he goes outside and knows he didn't put any seeds in the soil and goes out there to look for a crop, your harvest isn't going to grow at all.
Exactly.
Is it good ground? You got to decide where you sow your seeds, but you're going to have to put some seeds out there to get a harvest. That's a whole nother thing. Man, we got two couples. We got a bunch of people checking us out online right now, but we have couple Rodney and Sheila from Baltimore, and we have Ed and Renee, the New York. Oh, I'm sorry, New Jersey. Don't mess that up, okay? Jersey and Atlanta, SWATs connection. My Morehouse brother, semi Morehouse brother. I went there, but I didn't finish there. All right, anyway.
We forgive you, Kevin.
We have flashbacks, you know what I'm saying? Anyhow, we're gonna just, I know it's been a lot, and maybe you and Danny will start with Renee.
Sure. Renee, in your expertise, I wonder what are some of the most specific common issues you've had to address with couples about finances?
Well, a lot of the financial issues really stem from communication issues. People don't understand why they feel the way they feel about money, and so when they get into a conflict with their spouse, they just dig into a position because they don't really fully understand they don't understand themselves. They don't understand their own beliefs about money. They have never really thought to themselves, why do I feel this way? What did I learn from my family of origin? How is this impacting the way that I'm behaving now within this relationship? So a lot of it is communication. And some of the tools that Ed and I use, because we went through that too when we were first married, and some of the tools that I recommend to the couples that I work with, one of my top secret tools is to have pre-scheduled financial meetings. Because if you have something that's already on your calendar, like Ed and I have a monthly financial meeting, and we also have a quarterly retreat where we look at our long-term goals and kind of our big picture. But if you have a meeting that's scheduled, like you already know every month you're going to talk about something, it helps you avoid being reactive. So if you're looking at the bank account and you see a purchase that you're unhappy with, you may try to address it. The timing may not be right, and it can be difficult for you and your spouse to come to a resolution about that. But if you know that, okay, I see where my partner went shopping, I know we have our meeting coming up in 2 weeks, I want to talk about the amount of money that was spent. It allows you time to process it yourself before you address your spouse, so you don't address your spouse the wrong way. And if you have these meetings regularly scheduled, you may decide on a course of action, implement it for a certain amount of time, and then decide, actually, it's not working for us. But you don't have to be tight about that feeling, right? You don't have to just stop with the plan, or you get all upset. You don't know when to address it. You're going to have a chance to address it in a month, so you can say, hey, we decided last month that we were going to do ABC, but over the course of the month, I saw that wasn't working for me. We said that the budget for groceries was, $300. That's not working. So next month we need to make an adjustment. If you know you have an opportunity to discuss things already in the schedule, it really helps you address them we found, really address it in a proper way. And I think other couples have found that to be very useful as well. So, one of the things I would say is definitely finances are all tied up in communication. The way we communicate, the way we understand ourselves, the way we understand our own perspectives. And one of the ways that you can really address that is by having pre-planned, pre-scheduled meetings on your calendar, because you'll have an opportunity to address any issues you might have.
Awesome. I don't know if anybody else, but I took the communication, pre-scheduled meetings, quarterly meetings, and you said something key that we didn't touch on earlier, and that was budgets. A lot of people just go blindly, and Stephen taught us about getting together and getting our budget together and going cash only, getting the credit cards unless you're just floating it for 30 days and then paying it off at the end of the month. But the key is really budgets. Man, thank you very much. And if you see Ed and Renee, it's 9 days before they will be getting a bundle of joy And Ed, you look like you're doing a smooth massage move on your wife's back right now. Keeping her comfortable, you know what I mean?
Gotta help support her back because we're getting ready.
Hey, Ed, you got it down pat, brother. You have it down pat. Congratulations again, and thanks for tuning in. We like to be mindful of people's time, and sometimes you put an hour on it because you just want to put an hour on it, but you might watch a double header of Scandal, or you might watch 3 NBA games or whatever. But if you have to go, then you can go. But we're gonna if you can hang out, we're gonna hang out just for a few more minutes, and then we'll wrap it up. Everybody good?
Very good.
All right, the baby good. I know how it is.
I might get sleepy.
Or hungry.
They ain't gonna be that long now. Keep rubbing her back, Ed. Keep rubbing her back. Anyway, thanks for sharing. We're gonna jump in. If you have any questions on your mind, just put a pin in it for a second, and Steven or somebody out there, people are chiming in on Facebook.
Yeah, I was going to mention that we do have a comment from one of our regulars, the Cobbs. Brian made a comment that sometimes you have financial issues that are inherited from previous generations, and it might be challenging to break that cycle. So he's just making that comment that sometimes simply the lack of financial education to break the cycle or from bad financial practices. So that's a good point, Brian.
Right. Ed and Sheila, how you guys doing? Hanging in there, huh? Can you still hear us? Are you guys on mute?
Yeah. Ed.
Y'all can move. You rubbing his back? Y'all rubbing each other's back over there? Like, get somebody pregnant, you start some back rubbing now. Anyway, why don't you ask him the question?
Well, I was just wondering, what do you think has been some of the best financial advice you might have received as a couple? I mean, you've been together for 20 years. I'm sure you might have some words of wisdom for us.
So Sheila and I, we have talked about finances, and for the longest time, she's the bill payer. I'm not good with money at all. When you talked about getting stuff, buying stuff and putting it in the closet, that's me. But I always think about us both. But when I go out and think about us both, she makes me take her stuff back, so she doesn't feel like she's a part of it. So I'm all alone. But we very rarely have this conversation about money because we've never let money become our focus of our relationship. So our standpoint on it is if we have it, it's meant for us. If we don't have it, it's not meant for us. There have been times that we've been, down and out, and like you said, Kevin, a check will pop up from out of nowhere, that would help us sustain whatever it is that we have to pay. But, just in the last maybe 4 years, we've been talking a little more about finances and how, it's going to affect us long term. So now we don't have meetings or anything, but we do sit and discuss bills. We do sit and discuss, how much money we have towards this. Our biggest struggle right now is just dealing with, eating out and having the time to cook in the house. That's our biggest struggle right now. But we've been through the counseling thing, and we find that it works. But I mean, with her schedule and my schedule, it's hard to really sit down and do that because most of the time when she comes home from work, she's tired, or Kevin, you don't notice, but in 2009, I had an accident, and my truck flipped over on 95 south into 95 north traffic.
Wow.
And so, just recently, I was able to, get declared disabled. But prior to that, my schedule was really hectic. dealing in entertainment and dealing in this business and that, we spend long hours and so we miss each other. If I want to talk, she's sleepy, or if she wants to talk to me, I'm busy, doing something or whatever. But we're getting better at that. We do find that talking about it helps. We didn't get 20 years just by winging it. There were some things, there were some things that we had to really bear down the hatchet and say, look, this is what we're going to do. And first and foremost is our bills. We take care of that. And, as far as the extra money, whenever there's extra money or something, I like to,
You lighten up. Extra money, boy. Extra money got Ronnie. He's like, yes, extra.
And, and she gets on me about that, but, I'm getting better.
Well, you want to share anything you want to say, Sheila?
Yeah, he's gotten a lot better.
That's growth in progress.
Yes.
Sheila, you're doing fine too. Sheila was like, I thought y'all were gonna be on the phone doing this call. I didn't know it was gonna be on the camera. So that's a whole different situation. Any questions before we wrap it up tonight? Anybody got anything to steal? Anything burning? Anything that you want to share? I'll do final words. Ed and Renee. Final words about finance, about we got some great tips from you: communication, pre-scheduled meetings, quarterly. If you implement one of them, you and you don't have none of them, then you're doing good. Budget though, that's got to get into play with all of us. We're working on it ourselves now. So this whole month has been just like an eye opener for us newlyweds. Ed.
I think the tithing can't be underscored enough because it's when you think about the small portion that God is asking us to give back to Him compared to what we keep, He can do so much more with even a little bit that we give back to Him that we often can do with the 90% that we keep. We tend to squander it and so forth. So if when you bless God, He will bless you, and I think we've been beneficiaries and can speak testimony to that. And I think if you keep that first and foremost, and it's hard sometimes when if you have a surprise pregnancy that not saying that we know anything about that, but financial priorities tend to move around and shift, and you have to deal with I think somebody mentioned that life happens.
Yep.
But it's easy to put God on the back burner and try to reverse what we're supposed to do and pay everything and do everything first that we want to do and then pay Him last. It's a struggle sometimes to make sure that we keep the priority right. And when you do that, all other things will fall into place, and it's time tested.
Yeah.
It's proven that it will happen, that God will bless you, and it will be more than what you can, you have room to receive. So I think that should always remain the focal point and the priority, and budgeting and saving for the future and leaving the legacy. All that stuff will become a bit more easy. It'll be easier for you if you keep God's priority your priority. So I think that's something that I've always tried to do myself and lead and show in our family. And Renee has done that as well. So we want to make sure that we teach our children that we actually, for our kids, we kind of came up in the Crown Ministry type teaching. I don't know if y'all ever had that series before, but making sure we teach them that they've got to put money aside and prioritize that for God is what we try to teach our kids. That's a part of the legacy that we want to leave for them as well.
Yeah. And I think also remembering that tithing, when you have a little bit, can seem difficult, but tithing when you have a lot is also a challenge. And Ed and I were newlyweds, and I had a mentor share with me that she was in sales, and she made, I think she said she made a $10 million sale. And so her, her salary or her commission was $1 million. And at that point, this was like, years ago. This was like 30 years ago. She just was like, there's nothing left for me to do here. So she left the company. But, her husband said to her, I know you're not about to write a $100,000 check to the church. Because she got this $1 million commission. And he's like, are we seriously about to just give $100,000 to the church? Right. And, you might, sometimes when your checks are low, it can be hard to give up 10%. But when your checks are big, it can also be hard to give up 10%. And that was her, faith in action at that point. She's like, yeah, I am about to write this $100,000 check to the church. And she did. And, she told me that story way back when I was first starting out my teaching career, and it really had a huge impact on me, and it helped me and Ed be on the very same page when it comes to tithing. And so we tithe in high times and low times, but we make sure we give God his first.
That is amazing. I mean, that's a tithing testimony. A lot of times you don't hear about it. And some people are like, even Christians today, they're like, if God wants me to have money, I'll have money. And you think that way because you've been programmed to think that way sometimes. But that's not how it goes. First, he tells you to tithe, right? Then, if that was the case, let me just make it clear. It's plenty of praying Christians, nuns, missionaries with not a lot of money.
Right.
That qualification of if God wants me to have it, and if the enemy wanted you to get away from God by giving you more money, he would do that too to get you away from the money. So you say, well, why does so-and-so who don't even believe in God have all the money? Because they've learned some of the laws of how to get wealth. And see, sometimes we think that, and I'm going back to the seed and harvest just a little bit because I want to just drop this last little nugget, is God is all about our obedience. So, and can we follow his instructions? So his instructions are in God's word. And if Jesus talked about money more than prayer, and it's a bunch of instruction, if you believe him on giving salvation and everything else, you should believe him on money. In Ecclesiastic, it says, money answers all things. All means all, and that's all. Now it says the love of money is the root of it. So if you love money more than God, then then there's a problem in the situation. But I'm going to leave this. Deuteronomy 28, the first 14 chapters, talks about if in fact you can follow instructions and be obedient, the blessings that God will bestow upon you. Now, from 15 on out, when you're not obedient, you can also see the consequences. So you may check that out, Deuteronomy 28, and say, okay, am I in the consequences part of this chapter, or am I in the obedience and receiving the blessings of God? So the choice is yours. Proverbs always talks about wisdom. Can you make a decision to change your finance? And you can make a decision right now. Start tithing and start being obedient to God, and you will see your finances change. It's not God is not making like solving the Rubik's Cube or the Pythagorean theorem or anything else that may be out there that seems complicated, writing code. It's very simple. Be obedient. And I said that I'm going to bless you. You don't believe me? Be obedient. Go to Malachi and try it. So we're going to wrap up. Pastor Stephen Thurston, you want to say anything else before we leave?
No, I think you guys covered everything that I was going to share to wrap up. So thank you so much.
Sure. No, we on one accord, Steve. We on one accord. Rodney, any last words?
No, we've learned a lot. We know that there's some room for growth, and we are, we're struggling to get to a point of understanding what God wants for us, and what's meant for us is meant for us. And it's through His will and His grace and His mercy that we receive His blessings.
Amen. Amen. So everybody out there, we thank you again. Couples 412, we've tuned in. We've gone over the time, but it was all God's time. What was I going to do? Waste some time watching something that's not doing any benefit. I got some nuggets from the Moses. I got some nuggets from Pastor Thurston. I got some nuggets from Ed and Renee. I mean, then we're going to implement. See, we just the hosts. You know what I mean? We're not therapists, but we play something on the internet, as I said. We enjoy every month having these dialogues and connections with all couples all over the world. We pray for you. We pray that you'll be strong and bold in your couplehood, that you connect with other couples, that you drop things. You don't just let the mundane conversations go down in your presence. Like, don't even jump into them. Girl, I'm sick of so-and-so. Are you? Okay. You got to pause them out your life because they can poison you with some of that negative stuff. But if you missed some of the notes, couples412.com. We placed all of the notes that Stephen talked about. This broadcast will be live. You can go back and watch it. And we just want to say, everybody, we love you. We'll see you soon. Roller skating, don't forget, in Smyrna.
May 1st.
May 1st, 3 to 7, we're going to be bounce. Anyway, rock skate, we're going to be doing it all. We thank you for hanging out with us. If you want to hang out with us next time, hit us up on Facebook, Couples412. We'd love to hear from you. We'd love to hear how you're doing, how your family's doing. We got 6. The Blinky Bunch. 6. Renee.
Yes.
Just some pictures. We know it's coming.
Okay. I'll keep you guys posted.
What's the due date again?
May 8th.
May 8th. Okay.
So she'll be on hiatus for a little bit, but if you ever need a mediator or a conflict coach, check out Savvy Solutions, Renee Jones.
Is that your website, Savvy Solutions?
We're rebranding. I'm on Facebook still as Resplendent Relationships. So if you want to stay in contact, you can find me on Facebook, Resplendent Relationships. And then the new website will be up in a couple of weeks, and you guys can get the first look there.
All right.
All right. Well, good night, everybody. We'll see
Good night. Thank you.
you soon.
Good night.
Let me shout out my radio station.
I'm sorry, right?
Oh.
Let's shout out. This is the shout out time.
Station. You can find me guys at You Matter 2 Radio. That's the letter U, Matter, the number 2 Radio, and it's about independent artists. It's for independent artists, and it doesn't mean music. It's poetry, musicians, writers, all of that. So You Matter 2 Radio. Check us out. Thanks so much, Kevin, for having us.
You Matter too. We got a therapist you can get on, and if you matter in the arts,
That's right.
he wants you on the show. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.